I'm so surprised that that timed out as perfectly as it did, because on the Director, I produced the show on the Director Mini. On the Director Mini, the sound is not part of the countdown. So I go to the scene that has the music in it. I start the scene, and then I go to graphics, and then I hit the countdown graphics. They're not connected. Whereas on the YOLO Box Pro, they're actually connected, and I can create a scene with a countdown of the right length so that it ends with the music. Can't do that. You can't attach the music or the count. You can't attach the music to the countdown on the Director Mini. So that when it actually does time out like that, I'm just like, whoa, check this out. That was really cool. So as always, thank you all for being here. Going to get around to the correct tab. My name is Anthony Barocas. Wait, oh, I don't have a button for this. Let me go get my button. Come on, wake up. I had to charge it up. So I guess it's not going to like wake up. Well, let me turn it off and turn it on again. That's the downside of having a wireless keyboard, is that, there it goes. There we go. My name is Anthony Barocas. I'm the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek. And for those who don't know, I use a $20 numeric wireless Bluetooth keypad to do most of the show's switching. I have camera one is me. This 2 is the whatever is on the other camera, and then I can do me over, side by side, and things like that. And I've got some titles in here. I don't have a whole lot. And the downside is Bluetooth goes dead. And when I was testing before the show, I was like, oh, it's dead. So I had it over there on charge. So it's got like 15 minutes of charge in it. So we'll see how long that lasts. Thank you all for being here. It's going to be a busy day, isn't it? And this is a live show, as you can tell. This is not AI. This is not pre-scripted or anything. And I will do full disclosure. I am talking about the Magewell Director series because they both use the same operating system. So what applies to the Director 1, which I'm showing, also applies to the Director Mini. Magewell is not paying for this. Magewell, I have no direct relationship with Magewell at this time, and I am producing this of my own volition. So when I talk, that makes me free to talk about the fact that the YOLO Box has a more, YOLO Box Pro has a countdown that's easier to use for pre-show. So anyway, I've got a bunch of things going on here. If you are watching on LinkedIn, which I think we actually have working today, or Twitch, or on Facebook, please understand that this is primarily a YouTube channel. And let's go here. No, not there. Here. You can find all of the content over here on the StreamTek channel on YouTube. And this is where all the live shows are, right over here on the live tab. And if we click on that, it'll show you that I am indeed live, and there is the show. And you can find shorts, you can find various videos, but the best part is there's so much content on here now that if you are looking for a particular thing, there's a little search. There's a little magnifying glass that searches just my channel. You want to search all of YouTube, that's up here. But if you want to search just my channel, there's a little search right here that gets you to the content specifically on my channel. So if you like the way I present things, that's what you can use. Also, I will be here later today. I'm actually producing a show for Bird Dog, and that show will be available. Let me hit record over here as well. Here we go. That show will be at 3 p.m. Central Time, so it will be 4 hours from now. And Bird Dog and I will be talking about their new Connect software. And Dan and I have been putting together some things. So I've got a camera here in my studio in Texas that I think he's going to be able to control from Australia, which is really cool. And a lot of other things. Actually, so many things, they've had to streamline it and talk about some things and not all the things. So it'll be quite interesting. Also, I have various reviews on streamingmedia.com. You can go to streamingmedia.com. You can sign up for e-newsletters. And I don't think my new one has appeared there yet, but I have an in-depth video review of the YOLO Box Extreme coming up on the Streaming Media website. And then, as always, if you need to reach out to me, you can go to streamtek.us, and then up there's a little contact us page. So if you need consulting one-on-one, I can do that. You can do that with me there. But today we are talking about the Magewell Director, and by this I mean both the Mini and the One. They should just call it the Director, I guess. The larger Director with antennas. But specifically the recent updates. There's a 3.0, a 3.0. There's actually, let me look over here. There's several updates in the 3 series. I think there's 3 or 4, and we're going to be talking mostly about the latest one, but there's a couple things going on with the earlier ones that we'll cover as well. So if you're interested in the Director, stay tuned, because there's a lot of little nuances all the way through that you'll want to stick around for. All right. So as always, I say welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. We got a good audience. If you haven't already chimed in, let me know where you're watching from, because this is a worldwide audience. That's the whole magic of live streaming and the streaming technology that's out there, is that anyone can put something out there that anyone else around the world can watch. So let me know where you're watching from. And as I said, today's show is about the Director series, the Magewell Director series, and the recent software updates and features, but it's not limited to that. So if you have other questions, whether they're related or audio or whatever, throw them into the comments. I will do my best to answer them. I will tell you up front that I may have 20 years of experience, but I do not have the ability to scour the web in 0.1 seconds and give you an automated AI answer that is partially wrong. I will give you the answer to the best of my ability, and also tell you when I don't know. And then you can go ask ChatGPT. So anyway, let's do some quick hellos. Eric Jan van Bogaard is in Schiphol-Oost in the Netherlands. So thank you very much for being there. For you, it's probably 6 p.m., I would think. And One-on-One Media is saying hello from rainy LaSalle, Illinois. I'm down here in Texas. We could really use some more rain. We always need more rain. And we have Stream 415. Hello from San Francisco. Haven't watched in a while. Glad to see you're still rocking it. Yes, show 115, is it? Wow. It's been a lot of shows. Jason Wang says hello from Ohio. Scribestream says hello from Italy, or say ciao. Too Long Didn't Read is also in Ohio. Nick Ramirez is in Colorado. And Mr. Robert Links is saying hi atop my chair in Seal Beach, California. Oh, wow, big audience, big worldwide audience today. Hello from Greece, from Andreas. Kirk is watching us down in Dallas, so he knows we need the rain. Peter is saying hello from Chicago, Illinois. All right, so that gets our hellos in. And Nick chimes in. Anyone for use of the $20 mini keyboard with a tripod, is that an iPhone MagSafe sticker works perfectly along with a MagSafe tripod mount. Great point. Thank you for throwing that in the comments. You are quite right. It is super flat on the back here. See if I can get the light to shine just right. Super flat on the back here. So one of them stickies right there, and you just stick it right to whatever you want. For today's show, I am using a, this is a PK1 stand on the Director 1. And what I like about this stand is it is both a carry, so it's like a cage with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mounting points, but it's also, because of this extra stuff back here, it's also a desktop stand that gives me a nice angle to work on. So I like that aspect of it, and they are not paying me to say this. However, they did provide this to me in my colors. So if you like the fact that StreamTek is both purple and yellow, you'll like that this is both purple and yellow. I don't know if you can get it in StreamTek colors, but you can send them an email and find out, since they had to buy the filament for me anyway. So shout out to them for providing that for the show. Thank you very much to, I think it's pk1.tv. Oh, Peter asks, Where can you source a Director 1? I would recommend B&H Photo Video, Video Guys. They're not on Amazon as far as I can tell. The last time I tried to provide a link, they are not on Amazon. The Director Mini is available on Amazon, but I think that's through a third-party reseller because Magewell and Magewell's resellers don't do Amazon, whatever. So they're out there. Actually, if you just Google Magewell Director 1 and then click on shopping, it'll show you where it's available. Suddenly realized the StreamTek colors are also the Los Angeles Lakers colors. They're very nice colors that go well together. No shade to the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, purple and orange, or purple and this yellowish color do go very well together. So yes. Into brown. So we got some people saying hello to each other in the chat on YouTube. Hello from the parking lot of the Florida Panthers Arena. Wow. Oh, thank you for being there and watching us in the parking lot. Let us go back up. We had another question earlier on, and I did not want to miss. Which the phone camera support recording the image to local storage? Is the local storage that which belongs to the phone camera or somewhere else? Phone cameras recording the image. I don't think the phone cameras record an image. I think the phone cameras record video. And that is a new update with 3.1 is that you have more control over what the remote cameras can do. And I have one set up. So I am going to go to this display directly, which should be here. And off to the right here, you'll see, I'll point to it this way. Right here is camera 1. So this is a camera I have over here. Hello, that's my camera. And yeah, I just messed everything up by swinging it around. It's also plugged in, so I should be able to get output of the camera. So that is the output of the actual, where that's the screen on the camera. So you're able to see what the operator would see if they're looking at the camera. So you can see you've got white balance auto, ISO auto, focus, exposure. There's a little magnifying glass over here, and I can drag this up and zoom in. Well, of course, that's also where the selfie camera is, and I can drag this down and zoom out. And you can see up in the corner there, I'll get my finger just right over the corner there, that's where it's actually metering, and which is weird because I would rather it meter like on me. You know, so if you got like a black something in the corner, you don't necessarily want it to meter the image exposure off of a dark corner like down here maybe, because then it would make the face too bright. Off to the right hand side, you have the ability to flip cameras, so you can touch that and you can see back facing, back telephoto, back ultra wide. I don't understand what the dual cameras are. I tried turning that on, it didn't do anything. So you're like, I can try back dual camera and I get the back camera because I'm only ever going to get one feed out of this. So I don't know why you're getting back dual camera. Back telephoto camera. Let's try that one. So that's closer. Back facing. So that would be the back normal camera, which has a really weird white balance for some reason. And then back to the front facing, which of course we only have one on an iPhone. So that's the camera it's going to use. But so you can see there's different capabilities there. And then right in the middle here, there's a record button. So you can turn the mic on and off, whether you want that audio. There's a record button. Don't quite know what that does. Let's click the eyeball, see what that does. Ah, camera name, image quality, performance, audio. Oh, what you want to see on the screen. I see. Okay. And camera parameters. Yeah, I want to see all of that. Performance. I don't necessarily need to see performance. And then down here in the gear icon, it takes you into more of the details of the controls. So I'm going to exit out of that because I didn't necessarily want to show you the camera controls on the camera, but now on the director itself, I can click on camera 1. You see down here, it actually has a battery icon. If I can get my, there we go. It has a battery icon here and a control icon. Now you don't see controls here on this, but if you click and hold, get PTZ control, click on the PTZ control. Now you see over there, actually let me go to me over. Right here, you've got the ability to flip the camera, the microphone, image stabilization, and you've got the ability to record and zoom remotely. So from the, let me go overhead. From here, I can zoom in and zoom out. Now, again, this is just an image crop on the sensor, but I'm able to do that from the director. Do these remote controls. Let me just side by side. I'm able to do these controls now, including, boop, requires access to the mobile devices. Yes, I know. Oh, I guess I didn't turn that on. Yes, allow access to all photos. Okay, there we go. Now I'm recording, and the recording is an ISO record. So this camera is on Wi-Fi, and this camera can be wandering around wherever, and it's on local Wi-Fi, so it's got a pretty fast connection. You can see it. There's like a there is a delay because it has to be captured, compressed, sent across the network, decompressed, resynchronized, and then made part of the show. There's a bunch of little things. So that's not a huge delay, and it's probably on par with NDI. So if you have 3 NDI cameras and 3 phone cameras, that's 6 cameras all wireless into your director. Really cool. But while you can possibly zoom with NDI cameras, you're not going to be able to turn on the recording or the image stabilization. IS is enabled. Now I'm not hand holding it. Now I'm hand holding it. And it is actually, I can see that it is a little floaty. And it probably delays it a little bit more. So let's do that delay test again. Yeah, you can definitely see that there's a longer delay when you do the image stabilization. So let me turn that off. And now it's going to take a second to resynchronize, and that's a little faster. What you see over here is I'm actually still able to switch cameras and do different things on using the director app. I have an Android phone here, but I'm still able to like switch cameras and do different things using the same app that you use as camera. So you can have 3 cameras, but more than 3 devices connected into your director. If other ones are doing switching, or someone else is doing graphics and someone else is adjusting the audio levels, you can have all these different devices connected into your director at the same time. So let me come back into here, select this, PTZ control. You can see I'm still recording. I'm going to stop recording. I really don't need an ISO feed. And then you've got your white balance, your auto ISO, your focus. Now, one thing I found was really interesting was, you can see I can touch on the screen here, and it is putting that up on the, here, let me give you closer. I can touch on the screen, and that focus area is being actively moved by me touching on the screen of the director. So I'm telling the phone where to focus. Very cool. Now, when I said go away, on the phone itself, and I don't know why it does this, it jumps back up into this corner. Even the last place I touched was like right on me. It goes back up into that corner. And now if I go to touch the screen, I'm not controlling the camera anymore. I'm controlling the director mini. So touching the screen sends the overlays away or brings them back. If I want to tell it where to do the metering, I say meter there. But then I have to click the X in the upper corner. For some reason, when I click the X in this corner, let's look at the phone. There it is right on me, right where I set it. When I click the X in the upper right-hand corner, now, when you go to the phone, it is way over here in the corner. And that's not where you want the metering to be because you just selected it here. So I think that's a bug that I found. So be aware of that. And if you touch it on the phone, now it'll stay there. So just so long as you don't have to go into the controls, because if I go into the controls, see, it jumped right back over there again. So some weird bug is sending the metering area way off into the corner when you enter and exit manual control of the camera. I don't really know why that is. But that is a long-winded answer of, does the phone camera support recording the image to local storage? Yes. I am powering it externally, so I don't have the ability to test to see if it's going to record to like a removable or an external USB-C storage medium. Haven't tested that. Scrolling down, a couple other questions came in. Any guidance on HDMI USB inputs for the Director Minis? I've gone through a handful of those to support 4 HDMI inputs. I'm actually using one right now, and I can see that it is a little choppy. Oh, and maybe it's just a preview. Let's touch it. So here you go. If you go to the overhead. So that is coming in via USB input. Over here it says UVC camera. Here, let's bring it up directly. It says UVC camera. And you can see it does jump there, but then again, that might be the loop point of the video. So let's let that go for a second. And what I'm really using is, I'm just using for this demonstration purpose. Let's go, yeah, that's pretty smooth. Overhead. I'm using one of these little $17 adapters. And I know when I use this on my vMix kit, I have to make sure to set it to MJPEG as opposed to YUV or some other mode. MJPEG looks great, looks nice and smooth. If I set it to YUV or some other mode, then I get like 5 frames a second. So this one definitely seems to be auto-selecting the right mode and right compression in this by itself, but that is coming in via USB. And yes, there are 2 USB inputs in both the Director Mini and the Director One. I have connected how many? 10? Let's come over here and I did 10 cameras into the Director Mini. So you can see the video right there. If you want to take a look at that, that's a really cool way. With the ability, and there's probably more because I didn't utilize RTMP, not RTMP and SRT. I did not use those. But USB is 3, or the physical inputs, there's 4. And then there's 5, 6, 7 cameras, phone cameras, and then 8, 9, 10 with NDI. So 10 easily. So go check that video out on the YouTube site to see how I did that. And like I says, if you're curious about something, just go give the videos section a search and check it out. Next question. Love my Director. Looking forward to your notes on what's new. I love my Director too. That's why I use it for the production of the show. Oh, answer to a previous question. Stream 415 says it's in stock at B&H right now. Does dual wide give a wider zoom range? It shouldn't, because if you're selecting which camera to use, then the zoom range should be there, you know. Or you could just have I don't know. Let's try it out. That's the magic of a live show. So we will go into go here, and I have that camera selected, and I'm going to try to point it somewhere that's useful. I am going to come into, actually, you know what, you should see this. So I'm going to come in here, and so here is the back-facing camera. I don't know why it's blue. And I zoom in, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, it goes 13, 14, 15, 16. It stops at 16x, a useless 16x. Looks like it's doing nearest neighbor. So 3x is about as good as you're going to get on there. Now if I switch to triple camera, oh, okay, it took the whole frame. Very interesting. That's as wide as it gets, so I guess that's the ultra wide. Yeah, you saw it switched cameras. Can't talk right now. And there it switched cameras again. So I guess what it does is you're not going to be limited to the one camera. It's going to switch cameras where needed and then continue along. You just have to be aware that when you go across that threshold, it's going to jump right there. That was the jump between the cameras. And then when you come all the way out, there's the jump again to the ultra wide. So you get clearer. You don't have to worry about which lens to pick when you're doing your framing, but you do have to worry about trying to zoom through where it has to jump between cameras. So it's not going to do that zoom smoothly. So that is a very good question, and we were able to answer it during the show. So that's why I love having a live show like this, is because we have the ability to try these things out and see what the answers are in real time. Another question comes in. Are you using the D1 as an access point Wi-Fi, or are the phones and directing me to a local Wi-Fi? Wonder if direct connection option and it lowers latency. In my opinion, it will not lower latency because the process is the same. The difference between Wi-Fi and wired, because I'm wired to my office Wi-Fi and then wireless to the camera. So you're basically only talking about the added delay of my wireless access point capturing the signal, putting it onto a wire, and getting it to the director. I don't think that that's going to be like 3 milliseconds, if that. I have not used the Director One wirelessly. As you can see, I have it set up here on the table with the antennas, and I could have used it as a hotspot. And for those who don't know, that's why this has the external antennas. It has 4G antennas, so you can get your cellular in here, and then you've got your local Wi-Fi antennas, which you could set vertically and horizontally for better, whichever one's better, or just put them both vertically. And you can take the Ethernet connection in here and share it, because also the Director One is the first director that has built-in cellular. So you can put in a SIM card in and then share this as a hotspot to local devices. Now, these antennas are your bare bones 2 for $5 antennas from Amazon. I know that because I just purchased a set of these for another router where the plastic had started to disintegrate a little bit from age. So these are super cheap. Now, thankfully, these say Wi-Fi on them. If we come over here, you can see that the antenna itself says Wi-Fi on it. And these antennas say 4G because the Wi-Fi jacks and the cellular jacks are different. They are the opposite. So the Wi-Fi jacks are what they call reverse SMA, in that the jack has a hole and the pin, oh no, I got it wrong. The jack has the pin and the antenna, see if I can get this down here, and the antenna has the hole. Whereas if I take the 4G antenna out, the 4G antenna, scoot this forward a little bit, the 4G antenna has the pin in it. So even though they look very similar, and I would love it if they were different colors, maybe orange, yellow, and purple. They are labeled. And do not put the 4G antenna with the pin into the Wi-Fi antenna jack with the pin, because the two pins will push each other out of the way. The screw force is that strong. You're just gonna, have a little resistance, but the screw force is very strong, and you're literally gonna bend both pins, and then you won't be able to get the Wi-Fi thing back in, and you won't be able to put the 4G antenna, because the antenna will be bent, and the other antenna will be bent, and you'll have to manually try and push it back into the right spot to get them to work. So be very, very careful about that. The antennas are different, very different, and I'm double checking 4G. And then also, just as an aside, if you are putting an antenna on here, it should be very, very easy to thread. Just gently threading it on. If you encounter resistance, take it off and double check it. So this one has the hole, and I'm just going to gently put it on here, and it goes right on. And they can rotate around. to whatever orientation you want. It will not lower latency. If it does, it's going to be microseconds and you're not going to tell the difference. I am using this to my office Wi-Fi, and the director is plugged into Ethernet. That's how I'm using it. Leo asks my question about video quality in a mixed environment. I have a Sony, Canon, Panasonic mirrorless camcorders. If I shoot in 4K, will all the quality be different in post-editing? Well, first, the Director series doesn't do 4K. It is an HD switcher. Second, you have 2 encoders, so you can encode program and 1 ISO. So if you're going to record, you're going to be if you're going to record, you're going to record ISOs in the cameras. Secondly, if you shoot in 4K, you're definitely recording in the cameras, not in the director. If you're doing HD, then you could, switch between all those different devices. There's no color correction in the director series. Actually, there's no color correction in the YOLO box either. So all of those cameras are going to come in looking slightly different. Canon's going to be a little warmer. Sony tends to be a little cooler. Panasonic, I've never really been a fan of Panasonic colors, and I'm a long-time Panasonic GH4 user just because it's super functional, but I don't think it has the best colors. Will the quality be different in post-editing? Yes. Leo asked, same question for 1080p. Same answer. Yes. 101. If I were live streaming a football game and have 2 people on phones running scoreboards and graphics, should they be connected to the D1 hotspot or to the network that's running the 2 tail airs through PoE? Honestly, I would, if you have a separate hotspot, and I'm just going to walk over and get it just because I've used it a couple times now. If you go to the channel, I did a live show and I had a couple NDI cameras and I used this as my router. This is a Republic of Gamers. I purchased it, not sponsored, my own gear, and I purchased it used from somebody locally. And this did the job. And I purchased this because I have had trouble trying to get NDI, multiple channels of NDI, reliably through my Eero, which is a gigabit router, and tri-band and all that stuff, and other small routers. So I may have gone overkill. I may have gone too far, but this has a 2.5 gigabit WAN port, and it has a 2.5 gigabit LAN port. This is meant to move a crap ton of data very fast, because that's a gaming router. So I figured a couple NDI streams at 30 megabits a second should probably be no problem. And they weren't. This thing couldn't care. But since now that I've gone over and reached it, I'm going to do something else. And probably is not going to fit. So yes, the Wi-Fi antenna is interchangeable. So if you want to see something really crazy, let's do this. Let's take my, it doesn't fit because of the damn handle. It barely fits. So here you go. Can you hear me now? I've got a bigger antenna on there. So the antennas are user replaceable. And that is important because if you wanted to have something directional, the Wi-Fi jack on the director is industry standard. So you can take a high gain antenna. You can take a directional antenna, a panel antenna. So if you're like in a press box and all the cameras are in front of you, an omnidirectional antenna is the dumbest antenna. The dumbest antenna you could possibly use because it's sending this, half of the signal is going back there. Half of the listening is coming from back there. So any other noise and phones and other stuff going on are also hitting this antenna. If you have a patch antenna, a panel antenna, and you put it in front of you, 95% of your send and receive is in front of you. So if all your cameras are in this general direction, 180 degrees in front of you, that's what the patch antenna is going to give you, is directionality, 4G. So that is one of the really nice things about the Director One, is the industry standard connectors for both your LTE and your Wi-Fi, so that you can do crazy stuff like this. That's not part of the software update. I apologize for the digression for everybody who's here for the software update. But 2 people on phones running school boarding graphics, and they should be connected to the D1 hotspot or the network that's running the two-tail airs through PoE. I have 2 thoughts on this. Separating tasks is usually really great, but I don't think what's going on your control devices is going to be so high bandwidth that it's going to interfere with the two-tail airs going through your network. So I would put it all on the same network. The McGee Academy of Arts and Sciences broadcast says, good morning from Pico Riviera, California. And if you haven't seen it, big thank you to, I'll get it right, Al, who joined me last week when we handled a bunch of viewer questions. It was a whole Q&A session from viewers like you and 2 teachers who were here the week before, Jennifer Bro and Kelly Munro, who were here in the show. They sent in a bunch of questions from themselves, from other teachers, from kids, and we just answered questions the whole show. So thank you for being there. Another answer popping in on YouTube. I use the Ethernet port on my Director Mini and a GLL iNet travel router as a hotspot on other devices connected to my DM. And this, actually, thank you for mentioning this, because this brings back another thought. Not asking the director to also use CPU cycles on being the hotspot means more of those CPU cycles are available to handle video. If you hand that off to another device whose sole purpose is to handle wireless data and do, manage that, then that task is not being asked of the director, so the director can spend more of its CPU cycles just processing video. I have the Mini. It doesn't have external antennas. I have baseball, so I have to use small portable setups. There are other small routers. Do I have one here? I have one upstairs. And I think, here, let me go get it for those who don't know. You will hear the term GL iNet a lot. It's just a really weird thing to try and type, GL period iNet. But they make a whole series of teeny little routers like this. And they're small. They're quite small. The antennas do not come off. They do have models where you could have taken the antennas off. But these are fairly small. And I have seen in one forum where somebody actually just made a little bracket to mount this thing vertically like this. And these are fairly reliable in that they both have your WAN in, a couple LANs, so you can have your internet coming in from house, whatever it is. And then one Ethernet port goes to your director, and the other Ethernet port goes to your laptop. And then your wireless goes to whatever's too far away to run a cable to. So that way you're able to do all those different things. The only thing that really gets me about these is, I like the design, but they're clearly going to generate heat, and the heat exchange is on these sides. So the best convection cooling would be as if I took these two ends and I did it this way, so that the cool air went in the bottom and the hot air went out the top, and it convect cooled this way. But that's really bad for the antennas. The antennas want to be this way or this way, but that's not the way the cooling is designed. So I don't have a solution for that, but it's just a thing that I noted. Another really cool thing with the GL iNets is they are USB powered. They've almost always been USB powered. Even from the earlier ones, it was micro USB. Now it's USB-C. USB-C can deliver more power, so they can put more powerful chips in here. So these are very capable devices. And you can go into there and you can reconfigure them however you want, so that if you have your cellular coming in via, a cellular modem plugged into the USB-A port, If that is your WAN, then you could actually go in and reconfigure all of these as local area network ports. So you can convert what these ports do. So that's really cool. I have also seen people talk about putting Speedify. Where did the lid go? Putting Speedify on these little devices, but at the same time, I've also seen reports that it hasn't gone particularly well on certain devices because, again, you're asking this device to both handle everything that it's doing and also do bonding, which is a whole other thing. So then it becomes a little bit too much for this device to work very well. But small portable setups, the GL iNets, this is a barrel. This is the MT1300. This has worked out very well for me. I have another one upstairs that is not as fast as this one, and there are several new models, Wi-Fi 7 capable models. So not sponsored. My gear, they are not paying. They don't even know about me. So anyway, I apologize for taking that long. So let's go really fast if we can. If you are new to the Magewells, and let me come over here on the page, the Magewell website, very well laid out. You just come up here to support, you go to downloads, you come down here to your director. There's no director 1. I don't know. They didn't label it for director family. Go figure. So you clicked on the director, and then here is your firmware. And then it tells you, these are the updates. And these are the updates for the 3.098, and this is a 3.0861, and then 2.4. So here's your 3.08. There's 1, 2, 3 versions of 3 that are out. And you can click on, let's just say, the release notes, and it'll pop up this little thing. It adds RTSP and a web page input for default setting options. Shortcuts support switching shows and deleting events. Optimize Speedify bonding. API and OSC support switching shows and deleting events through the API and OSC, and fixes known issues. I really wish they wouldn't do that, and so many manufacturers do that. It's like, we fixed bugs. Write down what the bugs were that you fixed. Just why? Why would you not say what it was that you fixed? You know, because if I was suffering from a bug, did this fix the bug? I don't know. Now I have to go and test it. Whereas if you sit there and say, oh yeah, there was a bug where when you exited the camera control, the sensor for where it gained exposure jumped into the corner. We fixed that. We'll write that over there. That's personal peeve. This one doesn't scroll. If you come over here to the next one down, the 3.0861, you can click on the release notes and you can see this one scrolls. So they're letting you know all the things that they're doing, and not all, but most of the big things that they're doing. Support RTSP as an input source. Hey, 3.0, now you can have your GoPro or your DJI Osmo Mobile, whatever, as RTSP directly into your director. Very cool. Supports web page HTML source. So you can go get a web page and have it as a source without having to have a laptop grab it and then grab the screen and bring it in, which is typically how we had to do it. Graphics supports full NDI stream with an alpha channel. That was big. So if you have an NDI graphics generator, Professional, New Blue, or some other titler, you can have them output NDI with alpha, bring it into your director, and it works just as you would expect it to. If you want an overlay, you just put one over the other, but the alpha channel is in there, so you can have dithers to clear, which is very cool. Add more graphics types, including animated titles, animated lower thirds, and a soccer scoreboards. Encodes multi-view as a video source option. NDI Stream server supports the multi-view video source option and also supports selecting audio sources. Supports USB tethering to share the internet data connection of a mobile smartphone by connecting the phone with the device through a USB cable. Updates Speedify SDK to improve the performance. The web UI adds a replay tab on the producer tab. So now that is where the replay tab for the web control, not to be confused with the app control, that's when that was added. And released the Magewell Director plugin for StreamTek. So there's actually a dedicated plugin for StreamTek. So if you're using a StreamTek plugged into a computer and then into your director, then there's a Magewell Director plugin specifically for that. And let us go right to the big goodies up here. If you click on View More, this one's so big, it goes to a separate page. So I was on this page already earlier today. Let's see, firmware release notes. And as you can see, I could technically do this in the Director since I can bring in a web page directly, but I'm going to do it on a separate computer. Supports using an iPad or an iPhone as an HDMI source via USB-C. So that's pretty cool that you can bring in those devices that way now. Coming down, 4 graphics overlays on a scene. So if you want to have a scene, and remember, each input is not just an input, it's a multi-layer scene. So you can have the same shot brought in twice. You know, here's your main shot, and then you want to overlay. Here's the scoreboard, here's the sponsor graphic, here's a ticker, you know, all these different things. You can go to that with up to 4 graphics overlays on one shot. Very nice. Controlling both the private scoreboard or stopwatch in a scene, so you can get direct control of those with just by touching the input itself. Supports using the CSS tool to set transparency for the web page source. I don't know how many people are going to use this. Like if I'm bringing in a web page, I just want to show you the web page. But apparently there was enough ask that the engineers actually created a custom CSS. Let's do this one. A custom CSS right here button that you could put in custom CSS that will affect the web page that you're bringing in. So you not only have to bring in the web page, but you have to write and then put the custom CSS into here. Very cool. Supports adding the same HDMI webcam or phone camera as an IP source multiple times within the same scene. And I've seen people ask about this because if I have 2 people side by side, but I want to do you know, shot by shot, hey, I can do 2 cutouts and put the, you know, I can rearrange them over here as in and add a graphic, you know. So if I have a 2-shot, I don't have to change the 2-shot. I don't have to, like, you know, I can take that same source, that same camera, but rearrange those things separately by bringing it in twice, doing 2 different crops, and then putting my PowerPoint over there. That is a very cool feature. Supports using MOV and WebM files with alpha channel as stingers. Also, more importantly, the stinger file length can be 1 to 5 seconds. You can enable chroma key, set the similarity, smoothness, and spill. You can enable audio and adjust the audio volume for your stingers. So that's a lot of control. And people who do sports, stingers are huge to be able to use those between transitions, between replays and things like that. So all of this control on the stinger is pretty darn amazing. Adds color process settings for editing HDMI sources. Oh, I misspeak. Look at that. So if you, let's take a look at that. So color process settings for editing HDMI source. So this relates to an earlier question where can I bring in multiple cameras? So let us go to, let's go to this one. And we will look at side by side. So we're going to look at this camera. We're going to click on this. We're going to edit it and color process. There it is. That's a new button. And now we can adjust the brightness. Let's just say he looks a little unsaturated. I can bring up the saturation on this input. I can adjust the contrast on this input. I mean, you're not getting a lot of control. I can adjust the hue. Not that I would want to do that, but then you can hit reset and put it all back to as it comes in. So brightness, contrast, and saturation. It might get you some of the way to balancing out different cameras. You know, if you have an action camera that needs a little bit more contrast to match your DSLR, or the DSLR you've adjusted for a smoother, you know, gradient over there, so it doesn't go as black. You know, you could say, oh, well, my action camera's got kind of hyper contrast on it, but I can come into my action camera and say, you know what, I'm going to decrease the contrast a little bit to make it look a little flatter, like the flatter look that I've got my DSLR set to. So you can tweak a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's going to enable you. It's not deep color control. So that answers the previous question better than me because I was wrong. But this also shows that it's not a whole lot of a control. It's a little bit. It's better than nothing. Because sometimes you get a camera that comes in that the black level's too high for whatever reason. You know, an old camcorder that's coming in, it's, you know, 10 IRE, and all your new stuff is coming in at 0, and you want to bring that down so they at least match. Confused about that iPad input thing. It says via HDMI. Shouldn't HDMI have always worked? Yes, HDMI should always work. I think what they mean via USB. Let's go back up to it. Let's go back to the PC. Let's go all the way up to the top one. Supports using an iPad or iPhone as an HDMI source via USB-C to HDMI adapter. Yeah, that's not a... Yeah, that's interesting because I'm literally doing that with my iPhone via Lightning to HDMI adapter to get you the view of my phone. So that has whatever to HDMI adapter and then HDMI cable into your switcher has been a solution for a decade. So that's nothing new. And it's actually nothing in the update. I don't understand if there was an issue with regards to the frame rate or the particular cadence of the frames coming out of the iOS devices. I don't know. I do know, I mean, and that image right there kind of shows you that the iPad is not a 16:9 device. Oh, sorry, you're looking at the wrong thing. The iPad is not a 16:9 device, and the video switcher is. So the iPads, the new ones via USB-C, will actually can give you a second screen. So the second screen is going to be an HDMI feed. So is the iPad doing the squishing and the rearranging of it? I don't know because I don't have a USB-C device here. I just use the Lightning ones. So yeah, it's a little confusing. Hopefully they can elaborate on that. So we're going to close that. We're going to continue down to, there's your color. Oh, Bowles Promo also says, I played with slideshow. It seems to he's seen. I thought it would be better as GGX, or did I miss something? I don't know what those, maybe those are typos. It seems to he's seen. I thought it would be better as GGX, or did I miss something? Interestingly enough, I played with slideshow a little bit before. We didn't quite get to the slideshow thing. I played with slideshow. It's a new feature where you can, let's go to the device. You can, let me get rid of this. You can add, instead of one picture, you click on picture, now 2 to 100 images to enable slideshow. Now it's not going to be on my system media. It's not going to be on internal storage. It's going to be on my SD card. So if I click on my SD card, here's all the images on my SD card. But I actually found out it doesn't work like I would want it to work, and it doesn't work the way the YOLO box works. All of these images I had to put on the top level of my SD card, and that's not how I organize my SD cards. I have images in a folder that say what those images are. So what you can't see here is I have folders of other stuff, and it's not showing me my folders. Now, to be honest, the YOLO box doesn't show folders either, but what it does is it goes through the entire card and shows you all 300 images. And just here's all your images, and you can select your images. You can get to all your images in whatever folder they are. You don't even have to navigate. They're just all there. But here, if I take this SD card out and I show you another SD card that I didn't pre-prepare before the show, all you're going to find is my business card. And I put that on the top of top level of every SD card I have, so that if I lose it and somebody finds it, they've got my business card on there so they know whose it is. Quick tip. But I can't delve into the folders. I can sort by name, I can sort by picture, size, time, name. I don't see how I go into the folders which are not showing up. So I think this is a bug, because once you go into the SD card, it should show you here's what's on the top level, but then there should also be all the folders that are also at this top level. And maybe if I go into, yes, discard this. If I go into video clip SD card, nope, no videos are available. And you know what? This actually used to work, because I used to be able to bring my videos in. So yeah, I don't see a way to go into the folders. Oh, SD card, there it is, there it is. Not very intuitive. There's a little triangle up there for the subfolder. Yeah, you're 20 seconds behind. So yes, if you go into DCIM now, no, there's no folders in there. My Media, oh, this is annoying. It would be easier just to have those folders show up like they used to. Backgrounds. I know there's a whole, oh, because I'm in videos now. Sorry. Close this. Yes. Go back to loading images. SD card. My Media. Backgrounds. There we go. So that's what it kind of looks like when you go into a YOLO box. It just, here's all your images, and you don't have to do any of this. And in the previous versions, when you were at an upper level like SD card, you would see folder icons. So you could literally just tap, 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 you're there. Not tap, here I am. Now I got to open My Media, open, you know, StreamTek, you know, I have to, there's an extra, you've doubled the amount of taps it takes to get there. So I like the new icons, but not putting the icons of the folders over here where, see, internal storage looks like a folder. So when I go into SD card, I would love to see my folders over there to the right, adding them up there to the SD card. So yes, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Slideshow is a scene menu, not a graphics menu item. I think that is what Bull is saying. Okay. Color process looks helpful, not LUTs, but still nice. Wondering if it remembers settings for each camera via HDMI, or do I have to redo it on the channel? Good question. Good question, because as you said, I think it does it by scene because you are in the scene setting. Let's go back to that. Yes. So if I'm over here and let's just say you are looking at this. If I click on HDMI 2 and I copy this, I'll just leave it like that. Fine. So I've got two of these. If I come in here to this one and I edit it so that I have a color process, that I've taken the saturation way down to black and white. Oh, it does do it on both. Look at that. So I guess you can't break it apart. It's doing it to the input, not doing it to the scene. I thought it was going to do it to the scene. Very interesting. So useful so that you can fix one camera wherever it is. But you can't change one scene so it looks different. So there you go. This is what we do on the channel. We try things out because we're live. You put it in the comments. I tried it out. So let's continue down the list here. Adding the same HDMI multiple times. Yeah, we talked about that. There's the green screen. There's the color control. Supports displaying the last frame of the NDI source when no signal is detected. And I'm actually going to say, you know, I'm of many thoughts about this. On one hand, if you're on the source and the source drops, Holding the last frame is good because it doesn't just go black. It just freezes. However, if you're looking at a multi-view where you're looking at the little icons on the bottom of your switcher here, and you're looking at it, I can't quite tell if he's still talking or if it's, and I'm over here. I can't tell if he's still talking or if it's frozen on the last frame because the signal's dead. Whereas if it goes black, I know not to touch it because it's not there. Whereas if it's holding him talking, I could click on it and then only then realize, oh, wait, it's frozen. I guess that signal's dead. But I've already brought it into the show, and then it becomes a mistake. So, I'm thankfully it's a choice. So as they show you in the bar over there, let's go full up. You can see right here, it is a choice that you make. Someone may want it to stay on the last frame. Somebody may want it to go black. So I don't have any NDI streams, so I'm probably not going to get that. So actually, you know what? I do have one here. Let's come over here. Let's add. It's still pointed over here. Let's do, where's NDI? NDI stream. It should be able to find my P200, which is in the studio. There it is. And format chroma key transition, NDI property, show no signal image, or show last, oh, sorry. Let me show you this. I brought it up. So on this NDI source, it's showing how it's coming in. I can choose no signal image or show last frame. So I can still choose between no signal image and the last frame. I would choose no signal image because that's how I prefer to work, but now that's available as a choice on your NDI sources. Save. So that is available. Hello everyone, and welcome to my studio. Save. And continuing along here, supports selecting up to 100 pictures of slides and controlling the playback slideshow of the seam thumbnail. So yes, as you can see on there, I will probably have to switch inputs, switch cards again, because let's just do, where's image? Picture. SD card. This. Confirm. Save. And then I can bring it up, and when I bring it up, I get little arrows on each side, so I can go next, next, next. Oh, yeah, that transition's really cool. Edit. I don't want to browse. Yes, discard that. Slideshow. Transition. Cut. How about just fade? Save. Next. 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 There you go. So I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, it's doing it on its own too. Sweet. Could do that for a pre-show. Go back over there. So that is pretty neat. Back to PC. Yes, you can set its play order, duration, transition, etc. Coming down here, supports playing and pausing the video and adjusting the progress of the video control button, and supports jumping to the previous and next video for video slideshows. So again, you get more controls for those capabilities. I'm trying to see if I can make this. I don't want to full screen it. Is it up here? Yeah. Sorry, I should have thought of that earlier. Supports controlling phone camera, which we talked about early on because the question came in, and I like those new controls, plus the ability from the director to tell the phone to record internally. Very cool. Supports previewing the transition effect in scene editor or toggling transition in or out. Not going to cover that. Graphics supports displaying the active graphics when using the program view as the graphics canvas background. So this is something I have begged them for a while, because it used to be you go to the graphics and then you're just kind of positioning it on against the black screen. I don't know where this is actually sitting with regards to the content. I need to see the content when I'm positioning the graphics. So this finally is there, and very thankful for that. Supports changing the scores to any number on the scoreboard control panel. There you go. So you got the little right button in the middle now. Supports adding HDMI sources, webcam sources, video, and portable animated graphics, PAG, as custom graphics. The supported video formats include MP4, MOV, and WebM. Supports hiding the game time when editing the soccer scoreboard. Okay. Display the time. Oh, that's not something I do. I will just be upfront. I don't do live sports. I'll report it, but I can't speak to it. Supports live streaming via SRT listener and RTSP protocols. So certain platforms support those, and SRT can be more reliable because there's redundant information sent. And that will definitely help those who are trying to use a cell signal in an area where there are a lot of other people in the audience also on cell. Supports adding paragraphs for the description of the YouTube server and supports editing the title description when starting a new created stream. Paragraphs are good as opposed to just one run-on sentence. That's why I create my events using a different platform. Replay, using event replay, supporting adding tags, rating, filtering events per different conditions, starting loop replay with multiple events. So there's a lot going on with the replay capability. Again, I can't speak to how useful these features will be because I don't do sports. I'm just being upfront. All events 1 hour, replay 2 events, to loop the replay. That could be useful for interstitial or like breaks. Supports selecting different replay modes when initiating dual camera quick replay or single event replay to customize the playback order and the layout. So you can go first, then just 2 only, first 1, then 2, 2, then 1, side by sides and things like that. So you got a lot of creativity there. Supports using MOV and WebM files as replay stingers. I kind of covered that already. Add replay cut in and cut out time settings to control the playback order of replay and the stinger. Continuing on, audio. Supports popping up the detection window and turning on and off audio when an external USB audio device is connected. And I did see that. I was connecting a USB, this USB adapter for the UVC camera, and sure enough, it actually pops up whether you want the audio on or not. So that can be kind of cool if you're just plugging them in and you're just going to take the laptop feed, but you don't want the audio, you know, to be in the menu at all. Just, I don't want audio. I just need the PowerPoint. So you're able to just like turn it off. As soon as you plug it in, it's going to let you turn it off so that it doesn't pop up in everything else, because there is a global audio mixer. Now all of a sudden, all those scenes that this USB input is going to be added to as a global source don't have the audio automatically there all the time anyway. So if somebody's like thumbing through slides and one of them has audio and it plays back while you're doing something else, you can turn it off. PTZ supports the OBSBot Tail 2, which is their latest camera. So tracking speed can be super lazy. The tracking mode, single or a group, you know, follow one person or automatically dynamically resize for a group, things like that. And you've got the human tracking at the bottom. And Speedify. In the settings page, Speedify has separated its own separate entity because it used to be buried in the network settings. And swapping down from the upper right corner of the screen, you can access the Speedify page to quickly log in and do bonding status. And that is something that they didn't actually mention discreetly here, but if you are, let's go my overhead, if you are on this now, you've got a left bring down, you've got a center bring down, which is giving me my camera status, and you've got a right drop down, which is, you can see is my Speedify and networking. And once you're in here, you can swipe from side to side for the different settings. It used to be that it was like one continuous scroll. It was like too big for one screen. So they've separated it into 3 screens here. And if you just want to see one thing, you know where it's at, you can bring it down and just adjust the camera brightness or the screen brightness. Or if I just want to see my Speedify settings, I can bring that down. Okay, great. And I can set that back up there. So that is handy. And if you bring it down and Speedify is active, you'll get an active screen showing you what it's doing and how it's doing it. Add the pair and share feature, which is something from Speedify. If you're not aware, Speedify allows you to have multiple cell phones part of a group paired together, and they share. So somebody's on Verizon, somebody's on T-Mobile, somebody's on another service, because whatever services are available in your area, you can have 2 different services on 2 different phones paired with your director Speedify, all in the same account, and it will leverage both of them externally. You don't have to actually physically connect them to the device. So that's what the pair and share kind of offers. Also works like if you're in a car and as you're driving, through areas where cell coverage is spotty, whoever's got the strongest signal can share their connection with everybody else. So it's not just limited to this. Logging in by entering the account and password or scanning the QR code. Selecting a dedicated server when the account login is a team account. If you have an elevated account, you can pick a dedicated server. Setting network priority. So if you've got multiple connections and you want to prioritize your wire connection, but always have the cellular connection as a backup, or if you are okay leaning on the cellular as your primary and or secondary, you could leave those connected and use the data on those heavily. System. Add a media file option in the main menu to manage your media files. Here it is. Supports quick access to the different pages in the control center by swiping down from the left, center, or right, which I just mentioned. Supports viewing the IP address and name on the control center when the hotspot is active. That is something that I actually asked them for as well, because I created a hotspot, I dragged down, and it didn't say what it was. I had to dig into it to find it out again. Now it's available, so if you are using your director as a hotspot, which you can do with the Mini as well, it just doesn't have the external antennas, and you're not going to be sharing a cellular connection, well, an internal cellular connection. Anyway, now you can just do a quick drag down. Oh yeah, it's the director 0.5729. That's what you're looking for. I would use a better name, but whatever. Supports closing the settings page quickly by clicking the X to go back to the main screen like that, as opposed to back. Supports customizing the UVC output format, resolution, and frame rate, so that if you just, if you're dealing with Zoom and Zoom is only going to send your thing at 720p, there's no need to send 1080p into your laptop and overwork your laptop. You can bring it down to 720p 30 and feed it exactly what Zoom is expecting to see. Supports more languages. I did see that, although they are labeled as beta, they are in there. As for the shortcuts, supports controlling the playback of the slideshow and the shortcuts, which is going to be really handy because then you could have it on a little Bluetooth keypad. So if I had a part of the show where I always go through different slides, I could dedicate 2 things. So once I get to the, go to the scene with the slides, click. Oh, that was interesting. Once I go to the scene with the slides, then I can go next, back through using the shortcuts. Controlling the phone camera advanced options through shortcuts. That's going to be cool. Supports, side by side, supports replaying all events in the last N events. Very interesting. I'm sure, sports people are going to be interested in that one. Flashing frames during video scene switching. Fix the issue. The control hub cannot recognize the device when it's not connected with the Ethernet. Fixed recording safety, safeguard integrity of the recorded media. The UVC output supports 720 and 1080, catering to more scenarios. And fix the issue where the PTZ camera order is not consistent after the device reboot when selecting the PTZ cameras via the API. That's a very specialized thing to fix. And the web user interface supports displaying the status bar and the produce page. That is something that, I think many of us have asked for, because we need to see what's really going on in the device if you're sitting on a laptop over there using the status page. Supports playing and pausing the videos and adjusting the process, which we've talked about. The web now supports controlling the private scoreboard, timer, stopwatch in the scene. So basically it's adding these features to the web interface as well. So if you've got a tablet and you're not using the built-in app, you're just using a web interface, or if you're using a laptop and you're using the web interface, or you're using the cloud, which is going to come through the web interface, but in some other city, you could use that and have these abilities as well. Changing the scores to any number on the scoreboard, different replay modes, streaming listeners, supports adding paragraphs, controlling the playback. All these things that we've mentioned before are going to be available in the web interface. The Director Utility app. Hey, I bet you it's going to tell you it supports all these new features. External screen features added for tablet. Oh, the external screen feature is added for a tablet with a USB 3.0 Type-C port. So, this is for the app? Interesting. What is it saying? Connect the tablet to the device using the here. I'll make it full screen for you. Using a full USB-C cable. So you USB-C to USB-C, USB hub to the tablet. Interesting. So you're actually taking the USB-C out of the Director Mini and going into your tablet, it looks like, via USB-C, displaying different content of the Director and taking records and screenshots to the local storage of the tablet. If the duplicate screen is in use, you can use the tablet to control the Director device as well. Very interesting. That is one I am going to have to check out and see exactly what does this actually afford, because, you know, do we now have another video output other than the HDMI? Because I know the HDMI, because this doesn't say limited to the Director Mini, because the Director Mini can output video out the USB-C, but the Director 1, as far as I know, does not, because it was given a full HDMI port. So, I don't know. This is video out of the USB-C of the Director into your tablet. Very curious. I'm going to have to test this one out and see what it actually offers. So that has been a quick look at the different features we got going on here. Nowhere password for getting logouts. Actually, you can actually set a password in the Director now for attempted logins from the app. So you still have to use the password to get into your Director using the app if you set it in the Director. But if you have access to the Director, you can just toggle it off. Looks like I have to duplicate the scene for a second camera to keep sponsors going. Yes. I thought. So I think those guys were having a conversation. Make a slideshow of sponsors, scale it down into a corner, then bring a camera in full screen behind it, please. Yes, I think that is what exactly what you can do, especially if the slideshow is auto playing. So then that slideshow can just keep going in the corner by itself. You don't have to build an animated GIF or anything like that. And then you can create a scene where it's there and another scene where it's not, and then bring them up and then bring them out. So that is a lot of features being brought into the Director and the Director Mini. And I think it's just becoming it's not so much a lot of new features, although I really dig the new camera controls. It's not a lot of like really new features like remote guest or something like that. But I do think the Magewell is refining. You can see a lot of this is refining the existing controls for features it already does, but giving you more, like being able to do a little TBC, time-based correction, color control on camera inputs. Not a lot, but it's refining it so that if you get that one action camera that is just a little too contrasty, you can kind of dial it in or soften it up to make it look more like your other cameras. If you have that one DSLR that's already, that's running log, you can actually add a little bit more contrast to it so it looks like your other cameras. As was mentioned in the comments, it's not going to be full LUT control. So if you're, shooting that level of content in your camera and your camera can't output a normal 709 video via HDMI at the same time, you're still not going to have full ability to fix it before you get into or inside of the Director series. But this is better than nothing and better than it was before the update. So that has been a look at all the features that have been added to the Director series in the past couple updates. And if you haven't already checked out my YouTube site, it is right there, StreamTek, or Stream Technology with a K, on YouTube. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitch or Instagram, because we're going to all of them today, go to the Stream Technology on YouTube. That's where you find all of the content. As I said before, I will be here later this afternoon. I have a show with Bird Dog at 3 o'clock. That's going to be on the Bird Dog YouTube and Facebook channels. I write for Streaming Media Magazine. You can go to streamingmedia.com and check that out, and then also sign up for e-newsletters. They're free. And if you want to find out more about StreamTek, you can go to streamtek.us, and if you're looking for consulting, you can click on Contact Us at the top of the page. So with that, I thank all of you for being here. I love doing these live shows because we have this dialogue coming back and forth, and a couple more comments come in. Hey, let's not skip them. I bring in the weather map as an overlay, which is good, but when it's not being shown, it's still using data all the time. Yes, it is. The Bluetooth pad needs only the PC web interface to program. Can be used without PC on the Director Mini. Absolutely. Once it's set up, this is just issuing a keystroke to your Director. The shortcuts are saved on the Director. So no laptop, nothing in between. All I need is this and a Director, both wireless, and I can go like this, click. I can go like this, click. There's nothing in between me and the Director with this. That's one of the reasons I like this. Whereas if you have the Stream Deck either requires the new networking interface box added to it and then a network over to it, or a laptop to take the commands and power the Stream Deck and provide that over to, it's a to-do. This, I just turned it on, but if you're like me and you leave it on for a couple weeks, it'll eventually go dead. So charge it up before your show. That's what I learned today. Once again, my name is Anthony Barocas. I'm the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTek. Thanking you all for being here as well. And be sure to check out a video. If you find a video you like, do me a solid and share it on your social media so that other people can check it out as well who don't know about StreamTek. That would do me great. So now I'm going to bid you all adieu and grab myself some lunch. And till next time, thanks for watching.